Speedway Illustrated.
Hello everyone, welcome to week 11 of Southside Speedway Illustrated. Tonight we talk about some interesting subjects, including the budget. Many teams running on a budget here. They're running out of their back pocket without sponsors. And Jerry, that's a very important issue for some of these guys.
Right on the money, Freddie. We're also going to talk to these guys about what bang for the buck they may offer a potential sponsor who wants to come on board with their racing effort.
We're also going to have some fun with one of the rookies here tonight. As a matter of fact, a rookie who's graduating high school but came out to race instead.
And we're going to have a tech tip. We're going to talk about a panhard bar. In case you don't know anything about what that is, we're going to let you in on what keeps the rear end under the car.
And something else, the track's actually dry tonight, so it's not NASCAR action, it's Friday night action from Southside Speedway when we continue.
Baron Sheet Metal. Every little sticker out here counts in terms of sponsorship. Welcome back to the show. Tonight in our first segment, we're going to talk about budgeting and what it takes to run out here competitively as far as the sponsorship is concerned. We talked to all the divisions, one driver from every division, including the modifieds. We're going to go with Jerry as he's going into the late model pits, a division where not little decals, big decals. In other words, big bucks count to run in the top class here at Southside Speedway. Jerry?
Thanks, Yvonne. We're here with Bubba Farmer in the late model pits, who's a rookie who has a limited budget. Everybody knows it takes a ton of money to run late model out here. Bubba, where does the money come from to keep you coming out here?
Well, on this car particularly, it's a family operation. My Uncle Donnie Farmer owns the car, and we take and do all the work ourselves on it. We keep it maintained ourselves. We do the engines ourselves, and as far as the sheet metal work, my father does that, and we do all the setting up. You know, we have some help from a few sponsors that are helping us, but, you know, as far as major sponsors, Roy Groom Brothers Construction is, you know, what we have for right now. We're always looking for more. But basically, we do everything ourselves, and that's how we can afford to do it week to week.
What do you think your team offers a sponsor in the late model world if you were to talk to someone about what your car and team could bring to them?
Well, just like right now, this TV show that you do, Southside Speedway Illustrated here, which right now, you know, somebody could be getting a plug-in on this. Inside Motorsports Magazine, we've been featured in them a couple of times. You know, it's different things like this that could actually help people out there advertising their products or a business. This car here has been in car shows and had a couple of appearances done, and with names of companies or businesses on the side certainly helps it. And, you know, we offer this all the time.
All right, with that, we're going to go to Freddie in the Grand Stock pits talking with Bill McGonigal about the very same thing, low budget, and where are you going to get sponsorship money?
Thanks, Jerry. Well, a division that's not quite as expensive in late model, but it's still a fair expense. Bill McGonigal, driver here in the Grand Stock pits. How do you run on such a small budget each and every week? You have to dip into your own pocket.
Well, I'm kind of like, I got a car owner that owns my car, but just like last week, we was in a week before last, we was in a collision, cost about $2,500 to fix, and that's exactly what you have to do is dip into your own pocket. It's kind of like they was kidding and said, y'all go out and win a couple races and you'll be able to pay for it, and you can win all the races in Grand Stock all year long and not hardly pay for it. So that's not a realistic thing. You have to do it all through sponsorship and try to build up that way. And right now we're not at that level to where we have as much sponsorship as we need to run and stay consistent with it without taking it out of your own pocket.
All right, now with the sponsorship, you do have a couple on the car, but what can you offer the sponsors? You have a couple of top 5 finishes, which shows good on the record books and gets you a little bit of airtime, and you're getting some airtime now. But what more can you offer sponsors to get on your car?
Well, I've always felt like I'm willing to do anything that a sponsor wants to do with his product to endorse it, but also at the same time, I don't pursue sponsors. Every sponsor I have, I want to be a first-class person. In other words, I don't want to come to you to sponsor my car and then turn around and put something on my car that would not be up to your level of standards. And so everybody we go for, we try to go for somebody that we think is the tops in their field. Our big problem is that I don't have a PR person, which I think you really need, and we don't have. The other thing that I really love, I love to do charity work, anything for children's organizations, and that's not to get sponsors or anything, but I like for the sponsors to be involved in that and help set me up with it. It's hard to race a car, keep a car up, and show it for the sponsors, and also line up charity events. And It might be a bad thing to say since we're talking about sponsors, but I would rather help one kid than I would rent all the races all year long. I think that's what you have to do is to rotate the money back. You can't put it all back into advertisement, but you have to put a certain portion of what you get back to promoting the sponsors that you do get.
Bill McGonigal, he's one of the many good spokespeople out here at Southside Speedway, and he can take a sponsor to a new level. Jerry, we're going to join you over in the Charger pits.
In the Charger pits with Roy, otherwise known as R.F. Mooring, who's the chief mechanic for the Prince George County School Bus Garage. We're going to talk to him about the cost of racing out at Southside Speedway. Roy, what does it take to keep you out here, and how much of a sponsorship level have you got right now?
Well, it takes quite a bit. The sponsors that I have right now, they're doing a pretty fair job, but you can always use a little extra as far as the tires. Tires are probably the main issue as far as the amount of money that you have to put out in order to be competitive. You have to work on this vehicle, and to keep it looking decent, pretty much 5 nights a week. And when it comes out here, the sponsors that I have, I think they're getting their money's worth, and it gives them an opportunity to expand their business.
If the money runs low from the sponsors, though, do you do the old rob Peter to pay Paul, or does it come out of your rear pocket? How do you handle that?
Well, it comes out of my pocket, but it has nothing to do with my budget. You have to limit yourself, and you really have to work hard. You work hard with your sponsors. As far as offering a new sponsor, I think it would benefit by it because the car it looks good, we're competitive, and we work hard.
Now, one division is supposed to be cost effective is the modified series. Here with Mike Waltney, a driver in that series. Now, it gets expensive to run these cars. People say that this series is cost effective, but each and every week we see a lot of these cars getting torn up, going home in scraps, and it has to cost money to put them back together. Where do you run where you have to be on such a tight budget and can do it each and every week?
Well, this is a very cost-effective class. The parts and a lot of the parts that we run on the suspension are the cars that we can get out of junkyard. So you don't have to go, to a high money place to buy the parts. And the bodies are relatively easy to make. We make our own bodies. We build our own cars, and the cost point is a lot of the cost is traveling. It costs a lot of money to get where you want to go. And I like the class that. A lot of the money is spent on tires, but they leave it up to you how many tires you want to buy. It's all in what you want to spend. We're going to try to make every race here. We've got a few shows at Langley and Hampton, Virginia, Ona, West Virginia. And Mark Potter's doing a great job of getting us races all over the East Coast, and some televised race, some regional television, and it's good for our sponsors, get the cars on TV, get some publicity for our sponsors that make all of this possible for us. Like I said, we're traveling all over, we're getting on television. A lot of your sponsors want the regional publicity for their business, and it's just getting bigger and bigger all the time. It really is.
Mike Waltney of the Modifieds. Let's go to Jerry now as he catches up with Mike Hammer and the mini stocks.
Coming from the Modifieds to the Minis, we're here with Mike Hammer of Richmond, who is also on a low budget. Comes out to Southside Speedway on a hit-and-miss basis, but wants to look good when he gets here. Mike, what is it about finding a sponsor that you think your car or team could offer?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you can offer a sponsor, you've got to give them something in return. The biggest thing we can offer, especially in the mini stock class, is public relations. Try and look good for the sponsor or potential sponsor and represent them well. That's the biggest thing.
About your budget running out here on a hit-and-miss basis, you write more checks than you receive, obviously, so where does that money come from to run out here?
I've got some sponsors, B103.7 and Visions Beach Club, and that kind of gets us started and will get us in the ballpark. Other than that, it's coming out of the old pocket.
Well, from a serious point of budgeting and sponsorship, we'll move to something a little bit more lighthearted. We're going to go to the late model pits where Shane Lockhart and Franklin Butler give a rookie a few pointers.
Bring us a Coke. supposed to have your helmet on when you bring us a Coke.
No, I didn't hear your motor running when you brought us a Coke.
Now you know why they call us the toughest track in the South.
You know, this place is pretty tough to get around. If there's one thing that I could tell you to try to help you at all, I would say you're doing great. Just be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a couple years. I don't know where. It doesn't matter where you come from or how many races you've won in other divisions, but I think you know that. You're doing a good job. Just be patient, hang in there, and it's going to happen for you.
I tell you, Wayne, one of the best things I can tell you to do is this track is awful hard to get around. You got to be on the bottom all the time. You just need to really slow down and going in the corner. You hear people talk about slowing down to go fast. This is one of the prime racetracks to do that at. If you can't make that car stay on the bottom and come off on the bottom, you're going to be wasting time backing up. That's the best tip I can give you.
Well, now that we've helped you out, how about help us out a little bit? You know, we got a little age on you. It's been a while since we've been in your position. 18, young, just starting out in late model. Tell us what it's been like for you so far.
Here, let me help you out with the mic.
Well, it's real hard out here for a rookie because, I mean, we're trying to learn as much as we can, and then, I mean, and we're trying to compete with guys with many years of experience, and I mean, just trying to learn and keep up and learn as much as we can. That's about all us rookies can do out here.
In tonight's tech feature, we're talking suspensions. In particular, we're talking pan-hard bars. We're going now to the link belt pits as Freddie Clark is with the link belt crew.
Thanks, Yvonne. It is a very important part of the car. You hear about it all the time, especially in Winston Cup, the pan-hard bar. And I'm here with Dave Havler of the link belt team. And Dave, why don't you tell us exactly where it is and what it does?
Well, the pan-hard bar is located behind the rear end of the car, and it basically has a twofold job. It first locates the rear end in the center of the car, and secondly, you can adjust the rear roll center of the car by moving it up or down. The mounts on the car are located. This one here would be mounted on the frame of the chassis. This one here would be mounted actually on the rear end of the car. By moving these up or down with the bolts, you can change your roll center of the car up or down to help improve traction on the rear end of the car.
So on a very tight track like this, traction very crucial. You make a lot of adjustments on this particular piece.
Pan-hard bar can be used a lot here at Southside for coming off the corners with as slick as the place can get at night, and from early in the day when you qualify to when you run the race at night, we will sometimes make a pan-hard bar adjustment.
Thank you very much. Dave here in the link belt pits. We appreciate that tech tip. Now, if you know the answer to this question, you will get 2 free tickets to Southside Speedway. Just be the first to call 256-9008 and give your name, home phone number, and the correct answer to the question. Now it's time to go racing, and tonight's highlights. Rodney Davenport would claim his first pole of 95 as a field of 12 mini stocks rolled out. Included in the field was Kathy Mosier, Langley's mini stock points leader. Davenport in control early as Mosier and Pam Mays make contact during a duel for the 4 spot. Wayne Bradley and Mike Hammer were also trading paint as they contested position on the track. Davenport would lead flag to flag for his first victory of the season. Chris Phelps would follow in the 2nd spot, with Tyler McRae 3rd, Kathy Mosier, and Dave Vaught would round out the top 5. Now a look at your AED mini stock points leaders.
This is my first win in a car. I raced go-karts for like 6 years. I won some state championships and stuff like that, and track championship, but this is great to win a race in front of all these people. I don't know, it's great.
All right. Kathy Mosier, current points leader in mini stock at Langley, comes to Southside to try it out. How did you find this track tonight?
This track's a lot of fun. It's definitely tighter. You're more anxious when you're going around there. There's less room to pass, but I had a great time, especially since I finished the race and didn't crash.
Modifieds were back in full force as David Stokes and Chris Evans claimed the front row, with Evans taking the early lead away from the pole setter. Mike Waltney would get forceful in his pursuit for the 4 spot as he nudged Steve Brightwell into the turn 4 sand. 2 laps later, Jerry Taylor would taste the boilerplate in turn 1, putting the field under yellow. With green back in the air, Stokes would start his bid to get back on the point. as Tiger Williams and Gwaltney were in a heated battle for the third that sent Williams spinning in turn 3 and 4 and blocking the lane of 5th place Clark Sawyer. The top two would pull away from the battle for third between Gwaltney, Sawyer, whom officials put back to 4th after the restart, and Jerry Dance. And behind them, it was a pure racing battle for the 6th spot. Tommy Shiflett, Forrester Fry, and John Hamilton were giving the fans a great show. But the show belonged to Chris Evans as he took the checkered over David Stokes, Gwaltney, Sawyer, and Dance.
Yeah, that was about the toughest one we've had out here so far. Stokes was running me hard. I was just doing everything I could to keep my eye on me.
This is your 3rd win of the year
so
far?
Mm-hmm.
Where's Brett hiding?
I don't know what he's doing. He must be waiting on us for the other tour.
Clark Sawyer of the Racing Sawyer family of Richmond International Raceway fame. You had a hard-fought battle for 4th place tonight, baby.
Oh, yeah. The traffic up in front of us was intense, and I saw some people getting a little loose in front of me and just really couldn't find a way to make a move. And I had a lot of pressure from Jerry Dance behind me, so I didn't want to get too bold and then lose the spot I did have. And we just kept trying to hunt him down, but that 44 was just pulling me through the straightaways. So.
Yeah, one time there you got sent to the back, but you came back to your rightful place of 4th starting position on a restart. What happened on that?
Well, they had told us that on the cautions we would go back to the last completed lap. The 3rd and 4th place car got together, and I had to go up to the outside and just did skin the wall a little bit. And when I came back into line, it put me in about 12th place. And then they put me to the back. And then I guess some words were exchanged down here that got me back to 4th place. So it was something I wasn't involved in, so you know, that was the best way they could handle it.
Yeah, a little mix-up in track position, but nonetheless 4th place finish on the night.
Good night for us. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda came the 22-car late model field, and on the point, the Ford of Eddie Johnson. The field set for action and obviously ready to rumble as they tried to dump their cameraman during the pace laps. Lap 1 and caution 1 as the backstretch became a scrapyard. Chris Dotson, Jim Thacker, Jim Sink, Chris Heater, and Kevin Grubb would all show damage. After a complete restart, it'd be side by side, Johnson and Harefield for the lead, and again, it was chaos, this time in turn 1. Shane Lockhart spins, collecting Wayne Patterson, Roy Hendrick, Wayne Grubb, and others. Lockhart would park his ride and survey the damage that turned out to be terminal. Again, the field was set up for green flag racing with Harefield leading the way. Franklin Butler was slicing his way back through the pack as he worked by Wayne Grubb, giving the rookie advice possibly about what you don't want your ride to look like early in a race. Harefield in control as Rusty Wood started to look inside on Johnson for the 2nd spot. While just behind, Urban took the 4th spot from Patterson. 10 laps later, Butler would make the same move for 5th. By this time, Harefield was in a full straight ahead of the battles behind. Butler's dive past Urban would not only give him 4th on the track, it would also put him atop the late model point standings. Harefield in total control takes his 3rd straight win. Johnson holds off all contenders for 2nd, followed by Butler, Wood, and Urban. Now, a big change in your advanced engine design point standings for the late model. I tell you what, talk about fighting your way back after an early mishap there. Hardly any sheet metal left on the car, but unofficially, I believe that'll give you the points lead.
Well, we're not really worried about the points right now. I mean, that's great. You know, sorry Shane had a little bad luck. Hate to take a car home looking like this, but we'll take that finish any day, you know, for having to come from the back and running as well as the car did. You know, just one of those things. Long way to go in the points, though, so we'll just take them one race at a time, see what happens.
I think the only thing left on the car is your new logo.
Well, that new logo might have brought us a little luck tonight. You know, the Hers people made it out here tonight for their first race, and awful glad they were able to make it, and we appreciate their support. And, you know, this car keep running like this, we're going to win some races before it's over with.
Yeah, I think we used up a little bit too much too early, but that was the only shot we had of getting by him. He had the top of the track, and that was the place to be.
Well, you worked the low groove real good getting under him, and it was clean racing out there, too.
Yeah, we run side by side, never touched. You know, Shane, he was a little upset at the start of the race there, but I was at the bottom of the track, and he was on the top side, and I feel like he came down, you know, in the groove. He says he didn't, but, you know, I couldn't stop and let him in line. I mean, you know, so that was one of them things there. But
you know, we was coming down the front straightaway there, and, you know, 2 of the spotters said that we were clear. We come down, but there wasn't a hole there, evidently, or something closed up. Something happened back there behind me. I don't know, but the car turned around, and then, you know, of course, those guys, they didn't have any place to go, and they just run into the side of the car. And it bent the car pretty good up underneath of it, but it, all in all, it's not that bad. You know, just hated we fell out for the race, and you know, we got credited with a 20th place finish. So what do you do?
Brad Skelding would take the pole as the promoter lifted the redraw for the Charger class and the Grand Stocks indefinitely. 40 laps in an extended event for the Chargers, and dust would fly early as cars tangled in turn 3 and 4, while outside front row starter Laval Balduck gained the top spot. Skelding second over Michael Greathouse and Tony Minner's fight for third. Greg Flaherty would show trails of smoke and would slow causing a pile-up on the front stretch involving Sonny Hobbs, Tommy Tatum, and others. Second spot would get the heat as Greathouse, Skelding, and Minner push, shove, beat, and bang sheet metal all the way around the speedway. Balduck would lead to the checkered, with Greathouse taking second in the final lap. Skelding would hold on to third, with Minner fourth, and Robert Connor rounding out the top 5. Now, your AED point standings for the Charger class.
Well, Val, tonight you didn't have to fight, and we know how you like to fight on the track. You ran out front real good, real strong.
Yeah, we didn't have to redraw tonight, then it gave me a chance a little bit. I didn't destroy my car, at least anyway.
Hey, you didn't even get a ding on it tonight.
No, not a touch.
Carol, what'd you think about his run? This is the strongest one he's had in quite a while.
I held my breath for about 40 laps. It looked pretty good, but you know, anytime they run that long and it's this Charger division, you get a little nervous no matter what.
Grand Stocks would close out the racing action with the Bear pair on the front row, Morris and Jarman. Morris quickly into the lead as Bill McGonigal took second from Jarman, while caution would fly early as turns 1 and 2 became cluttered with spinning machines. Robbie Langford, Worth Red, Bobby Curtis, and Fred Talley Jr. would all suffer damage. Morris would be well in control under green, but would spin a lap car and be put under the black flag for a stop and go, handing the lead over to Bill McGonigal. Caution would slow the field, allowing Morris to tighten back up with the rest of the lead pack, and back to green, McGonigal would hold off all contenders and take the win over Jarman, John Eversole. Billy Morris would come back to fourth, and Bubba Hubbard rounded out the top 5. Now, your AED point standings in the Grand Stocks. Billy didn't exactly drop out. He was coming. I'm sure they told you on the radio.
No, they didn't. He wasn't sure if Billy was 5th or 6th or what, but I thought we was doing pretty good. I wasn't really all out yet. I was saving just a hair for him.
Yep. Well, a great run for him tonight. Bill McGonigal picks up the win here at Southside in the Grand Stock Division.